That
We
means
saw it
your
this
wife.
morning, Robbie.
That means your wife went shopping this weekend.
Looks
All
very
right.
nice.
Dr. Price, are you ready?
I am. I'm driving, but I can listen.
Okay, sounds great. We'll go ahead and get started. We'll call this to order. Do we need a approval to approve the agenda for today? So if we can get a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
All right, thank you.
Second.
All right, any discussion? If there's no discussion, all in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, move forward. Item number 3, approve minutes from previous minutes. I hope you guys had an opportunity to review those minutes. And so if I can get approval to approve the minutes from our last meeting.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
All right, thank you, Dr. Price and Dr. LaDuff.
Second.
All right, if no discussion, we'll move in all in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All right,
Aye.
that moves on. Any public comments, Dr. Sherman, Gibney Sherman?
No, sir, but we also do have Beverly Levine. I hope you're not in the middle of the night, Beverly.
It's 10 o'clock here, but man, you guys are on time.
Yes.
Man, I come on 30 seconds late on you on item 4.
Hey. We're gonna move on to the superintendent's report.
Okay.
Ms. Levine, we're trying to finish in 45 minutes. That's why we're moving
I
rapidly.
like it.
Okay, let's go, Dr.
right.
Gibney Sherman. All right.
Nothing would please me more. And thank you all for meeting this afternoon. And we do have a sharp time of 4:45. Robbie's got his own board this evening. So what we've got for you is what we have each month are the personnel, nothing that significant yet. Next month a little bit different. Students, our enrollment still is at 20% lower than it was before House Bill 87. But what you see there is our stats with the enrollment and end of course, as well as graduation. But I do want to remind you, because of House Bill 87, students who graduate before the age of 18 do not count in our graduation count. So that our numbers will be incredibly depressed as they go through, including end of course. The end of course scores no longer count for Foothills unless they're enrollment students. And so you'll see those numbers will continue to drop over time. Like this year, we've only administered 364 end of course tests, and last year it was 693, and that will continue to drop. This is our last year with grandfathered students. Oh, actually, next year will be the last year with grandfathered students. And so that will be like our last bunch.
Okay.
We do have area graduation set up in North and South, plus our corrections. And so those dates are attached. And so before I move to discussion, Robbie, is there anything I need to clarify?
No, I think you're good, Dr. Sherman.
Okay, all right. The next part is a little bit lengthy, but we'll be really tight with our responses, starting with financial all the way through. And this is a lot of everything in this section is legislatively driven. And so everything from financial all the way down. And we're not going to give you all the details at this time, but we've sent them to you. But we are very happy to go into more detail at any other time. So let Bonnie do a high level of the finance updates.
Sure. So your financial updates are very similar to what you have. You always receive. Attachment A is just the budget availability, revenues to expenditures. Revenues are on target. Expenditures are a little bit less than where we are in the year. So that's all great news. And just want to point out that it does look like we're increasing our fund balance right now this month. but that's not the case. As the year winds down, expenditures in technology with software renewals, site operation fees, et cetera, accruals at the end of the year will change that picture. You've got your grant report, consolidated fund report, but attachment 8A should look very similar to previous months. And then attachment 8B is actually the budget narrative. It's a little bit early this year, but we needed to share this to share the RIF plan later, just to show you that the projected revenues and expenditures are still $3.5 million more in expenditures than the projected revenues, even with the RIF and the proposed cuts. We're still finalizing and the revenues. We just got our QBE initial projections like you guys did yesterday. And we'll jump into more details about the budget at the budget hearing on May 20th. So unless you guys have any questions about 8A and 8B, that's my high level summary.
So do we have any questions from the board members?
And
Okay,
again, this is all legislatively driven.
okay.
Let's be clear about that. Which brings me to B, legislative update. And I'll keep this brief, but it was very involved, probably more involved than any that we've dealt with. We've been involved with House Bill 87 for 2 years, plus the forming of it. So that's, and we had 3 years before Senate Bill 153. So we've had 5 years in the legislative session pretty aggressively. And this time we had Senator Dixon, who did pass a bill immediately that was accepted, all but by one senator. It passed over the House and they never read it. But a lot of activity took place in between there. And we were just talking to Maurice, including some activity with the Dual Achieve. And Dual Achieve is a pilot program that's sort of like Foothills, and what they did is they changed a lot of their requirements to match ours, which they didn't really broadcast. But if you go back and read the bill related to Dual Achieve, you'll see that's what happened. So that got things all tangled up. And the Speaker of the House got wind of what was going on, and he became very engaged in the process, and he was fully supportive of completion schools to the point that he and Jan Jones authored a bill to start the next session dealing with completion schools. But the end result is we did not get the bill, the results that we wanted, where students could enroll at age 16 as they did in the past. So we're, as you are, going through. So we held off doing a lot of things until we knew that was the case. Because right now, as I said before, we have a 20% student reduction since House Bill 87. Plus, we'd already had a 50% reduction in our funding source. So we have a RIF process to propose to you that we need to implement beginning tomorrow. So we've been having a lot of conversations with a lot of people in the planning process. So we're hopeful that we can somehow get this changed, but right now it's difficult. It really is, and there's so much more I could add. Dale, I'm looking, is there anything else to? Oh, the DOE did put up a board ruling that's open to comment. It has to be turned in by May 1, and it honestly doesn't do anything. But we're going to make a comment in saying that and asking them to waive the age, because that is something they could do. And so, and actually Dell and I met with our lobbyists today to figure out a way to kind of do that in the right way. But there's a lot going on. And connected to the RIF plan, Bonnie has led a communication plan with all of our sites and all the supervisors, and we've all talked to everyone. So they're aware that we're in the planning stage. And if you approve our plan, which we'll go over shortly, then we will start communicating that out immediately, beginning tonight. Because one of those pieces of information is the Franklin site. We're going to have to close it. And that just breaks my heart, I have to tell you. I love Franklin and everything about it. But they're out of our zone. We were able to grandfather them in and carry them for 2 years, but that now their enrollment is so low, we can't justify that. And so we've already met with the site directors and we're meeting with their staff tonight to tell them that it will be closed. And we'll carry them through this summer. And then the rest of the students that don't finish, we're gonna work toward getting them placed somewhere so they can finish their high school diploma. But we have a million different pieces to this puzzle. But I think we've got it set. And to the point that next Monday night, I will be doing a town hall meeting to explain everything to all of our staff and where we are so they can understand it. And we've had a lot of meetings, but so far people have been understanding and professional about this situation. But we're not done yet. So there's still time for challenges. And I think if we can go, Robbie, straight on to the RIF plan.
Okay.
What we have attached for you is the actual board policy that was passed and that we used 2 years ago when we went through this process. And we didn't expect to use it again so quickly. 9B is the actual RIF plan that we are asking the board to approve later this meeting. And this, everybody's listed, you know, not by name, but by position that we're looking to RIF.
I emailed this earlier today, so it should be in your inbox if you don't have it open.
Thank you,
Okay,
Dale.
I'm pulling it up now. Okay,
Because we didn't make this public yet. We put it on your, you know, invisible screen. And then Dale just sent it to you again, just a couple hours ago. And so if you want to look that over, if there are any questions, we can answer it. You know, connected to this is we are now going to work in a tiered system. And the
Right.
tier is based on number of students enrolled as well as the rate of attendance. We're only funding people, you know, we're funding personnel based on the students who are there, not the ones you wish were there. And so that's a shift. And we also did some modifications on the payment to systems for operating fees and based on tiers. And we did just a lot of little changes there that you can see. As you know, we didn't replace Dale's assistant superintendent position and others.
Okay.
So if I can give you a chance to just kind of look that over and you can ask questions.
does everyone have it before them? I know, Dr. Price, you're driving, so do you want to hear
Okay.
verbally what's taking place? So you'll know what's going on?
I was able to listen.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
all right,
So we did cut to this regional office as well as each of the sites. And again, the sites were based on enrollment and attendance. And
Well, I was just gonna add that this list looks daunting and it is. But if you compare it to the budget narrative, some of the regional positions we're restructuring. So we'll have less positions, but we're adding some positions back. And then we also, like Sherry mentioned, we've met with every single site and there's several people on the site RIF list that were serving in multiple roles, especially the MTSS 504 people. And so they'll maintain the role that isn't the MTSS 504. So it may not be that everybody on this list doesn't have a position at all. It's just that they don't have these positions any longer because we don't need them in the restructuring and the reorganization that we're doing.
okay,
our greatest hope is that we can be successful in this legislative action that's needed. And we could come back to this. And last time
That's
Bonnie
right.
was reminding us, 75% of the people that were RIF last time, we were able to bring back.
Or didn't want to come back.
Or
Yeah.
they chose
Yeah.
not to come back.
So you really need to compare, when you have time, the RIF plan with the actual increases and decreases that are on that back page of the budget narrative. That's why we provided that. And we'll be able to talk more about that again in May when we're together presenting the budget too.
all right. Do you want to finish the rest on this list, or what do you want to go to, Dr. Sherman? Given Sherman, I'm sorry.
I'll just hop through the list.
Okay.
Okay, the spring FTE count, that's your attachment 10. And you can see that we are down. And so overall, we're down 20%. And we're recruiting like crazy, trying to get them in, and we've been very successful with our person who goes out in the field and meets with guidance counselors throughout our 3 recent areas. But it's the program students that, and the legislation that's really slowing it down.
Okay.
But in spite of that, we did well with our determination with special ed and did great with that. And that number is still true at 17%. And we do need a board, Foothills governing board election. There are 2 people that will roll off, and that's Clark and Baldwin. So that's Norris and Robbie, and we need replacements for those 2. And so we talked about that with Robbie last week, and we're showing you the board guidance that we have. And so by July 1, we need to have 2 new people sitting, and then at that time, the new board will select their officers. And so if you have any recommendations, please give them to Robbie. And we just need to have a superintendent that's in our zone to be in one of those or 2 places. So that's there. Robbie, did you want to say anything else about that?
No, yes, we discussed it last week, and I'll call you guys individually next week and share with you some of the recommendations that we discussed. Okay.
Thank you, Robbie.
All right.
And then we've attached the governance board meeting dates, and they align to the recent meeting dates. And those are attached. And then the superintendent evaluation, Robbie, if you want to speak to that.
Yes, Ms. Knight and I are already in conversation about the upcoming evaluation for Dr. Gibbon and Sherman. When I call you next week, I'll get your input, and I want to have this done before the end of, when is our next one? May what? June 1st? May.
It's a budget hearing.
Okay. Have it done before May. I'll have solidified that date before then. So hopefully next week. Bunny, I'll be in touch with you this week, and we'll suggest dates. So when I call board members, we'll have definite dates to do her evaluation, our final evaluation. Okay.
Thank you, Robbie.
All right.
And then the recommendation that's required each year for Dan Murphy.
Okay.
That's included in the auditor recommendation that we've used him since we started. Now we had one little.
Yeah, we had, second year, second or third.
Yeah, but that's included. That'll be in the action items. And then we edited the collaborative operating agreement. And Dale, did you want to speak to any changes?
Sure, we made a number of minor changes. So what we did last year when we got feedback from any of your attorneys on suggested revisions, we just noted that and captured that thanks to Christy and her help. And so we made those minor adjustments so that hopefully your attorneys don't have to spend as much time suggesting those. And then the 2 big things that we added, or more significant things, it was requested that instead of just stating that we would pay reasonable operating fees, I was requested a number of times last year that we state what those fees are specifically. And so we added those to the agreement. That also goes by the tiered system, tier 1, 2, and 3. No change from last year, 75,000, 100,000, 150,000. The other significant thing that was added, which was referenced earlier, is changing how our technical support works. As you know, it's very important for Foothills when we're in your facilities that we have access to the internet, or else we're sort of dead in the water. And so the way that we've worked that in the past is you all have put forward someone who we employed And they're essentially employed both places, and we're paying them and you're paying them. However, we're going to shift to a model with your approval this year of just giving that money directly to your school district based on that tiered system again. And then you can provide that to those technical employees however you see fit. And a major benefit of that is that in some districts, particularly the larger districts, multiple people, were helping with the network depending on what night of the week it was and who was on call. And so it really made sense to our team to just hand those funds over to you so that you can get them to where they need to be. Did I capture that correctly?
Yeah, I think that's great.
Okay, so that's there for your consideration, and then we'll chase it. I'm sorry.
Can I just add one more thing, just for your reference, as you're looking at that collaborative operating agreement and making plans, Clark is a tier 3 site, Jackson is a tier 2 site, both of the Barrow sites are tier 3, Baldwin is tier 3, and Oglethorpe is tier 1. I just thought, as you're looking at the document, you may be curious which of those applies to your district.
And if I could just add, we're gonna send out the actual fees, both site operations fee that's planned for FY 26 and the technology support fee, to all of you superintendents and CFOs in the morning,
Okay,
Next year.
as a proposal email, yes.
Oh,
Yeah, remember, we normally share it with them. Here's what's proposed, yes. To get your input.
okay.
okay, thank you. Department of Corrections, we went through and did the edits, but there's one more person they wanted to review it, so that's coming for the Department of Corrections. And Department of Defense is included, and that's for our Youth Challenge sites. So that's ready to be signed for the next school year. Code of Conduct, this makes adjustments based on legislation. There's just some.
Sherry, can I ask a question? Because I'm trying to look at these documents as we speak.
Yes,
And you sent us this document on the 16th, but I do not have 17, 18, nor 16 on the packet that you sent us on the 16th of April, nor the lease renewal with the attachments on there. I do not have those attachments. And maybe I have attachment 23, that's the last one, but I do not have attachment 18, 19, or 17, or 16.
okay.
Nor,
We will send them to you
okay,
immediately. They are on Assembly.
okay, I can go
Just as a
there.
reference, but Christie, if you'll just make a note to send those 16, 17, 18, and 19.
I'll see them right now.
Okay,
Okay.
Thank you, Robbie, for stopping us.
Okay,
We'll take care of that right now.
okay, not a problem.
And then the next, the code of conduct, we talked about that. It's probably looks like what you're doing. And then this lease renewal is for this site, the regional office. That's included. And then the annual strategic planning, that's our summer strategic planning that we do, and we're gonna do it in Clark at the old Rutland building. And so we're very happy. Thank you, Robbie, for allowing us to use your facility. There's plenty of parking, and there's enough space. And so that's scheduled for June the 24th through the 26th.
Okay,
And then the last doc is something I passed out at a recent meeting, and that's the Foothills Alternative Program option. And Dale, you said you've already heard from about 4 school districts who are interested in having this. And I want to say thank you to Norris over Baldwin for helping us through the pilot that we hosted at Baldwin this year. Like, how do you work with alternative school kids? And it really worked pretty well. And so those kids are getting quality service while they're serving their alternative school time virtually. And so this is an explanation, and people have called and are ready to queue up. So that will help kids to have quality service while in alternative school, but it'll also help us with our FTE challenge. So we're pleased about that. And those are all the pieces. Everything else are just action items to vote on. And Robbie, we really ran through this, but I want to just pause and see if you or any board members have any questions.
I don't. Dr. LaDuff, Ms. Levine, or Dr. Price, do you have any questions?
No, sir.
No.
Okay. All
No.
right.
Okay,
All right.
Dale said he was successful in sending those documents that were missing.
Okay.
Because our next piece, Robbie, is to go through these items, and I believe they can be done, accomplished through a consent agenda,
All right.
if the board so chooses.
All right, team, would you like to do this as consent agenda? She goes through each item and then we approve them as one.
Yes.
All right, sounds great. All right. Sherry, let's move
All
forward.
right, I'll just read through the personnel recommendations, the meeting financials that were presented earlier, the calendar for next year, which has been on the table, the RIF plan, and we briefly went over that. The board meeting dates, again, modeled after recess time, legal representation, the auditor recommendation, the Foothills Collaborative Operating Agreement, Department of Defense Code of Student Conduct, and the surplus of the technology equipment. And so those are all the items that would be in the consent agenda.
All right, can I get approval for the consent agenda for the action items?
So moved.
All right,
Second.
all right, thank you. Are there any discussion? If there aren't any discussion, all in favor by saying aye.
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 All right, those items have been approved. Dr. Sherman, Gibney Sherman, anything else that you want to share with us?
I don't think so, Robbie.
Okay, thank you for agreeing to move this meeting real rapidly because I have to prepare for my next meeting. All right, we're at the last item on the agenda to adjourn. Can I get a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
All right, second.
Second.
All right, all in favor by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you guys, and Bunny, I'll be in touch with you later this week. Okay?
That's good.
All right, thank you guys. Have a great day. All right,
Thanks.
stay safe.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Be safe, Beverly.
Thank you.
Don't do anything wild.